let's look at 3 risks for foreign-born business people in Canada and how to attenuate these risks. Click here the subscribe button, set up the alert, and if the content of this video is useful, let us know by clicking the like button. The first risk I want to talk about is, and I'm grouping them here in a category of risks, okay? I'm talking about what I call business relationship risks. What do I mean by that? And I'm talking specifically for people who were born in emerging markets and are now doing business in Canada or trying to do business in Canada. The first thing within business relationship risks is what I call the misalignment of the obvious. What does that mean? What is obvious to one person is different from what is obvious to the other person. And it's a very nuanced concept that is very hard to understand and to be aware of, because by definition, what is obvious to us is obvious to us. So we think it's obvious to other people too. That is a cause of major challenges, and one of the main reasons why businesses run by foreign-born people do not work too well in Canada sometimes. For example, when you start a business meeting in my home country, and I know in many countries around the world, you will spend a great deal of time first building rapport, getting to know the people, asking them about their family, telling them about yours, what your preferences are. I don't know, depending on the culture, it's more playful, a little more with jokes, and the others will be talking about a hobby. You are building that common ground of trust, of confidence between the two parties before you can arrive at any type of business discussion. Not at all in Canada. What happens when you walk into a business meeting in Canada, for example, you will be talking first right away to the business topics. You may spend like a minute or two talking about, oh yeah, you're just arrived, you traveled here, so is this cold for you? Whatever. Yeah, you're from this country. Yeah, I know somebody from that country. Oh, they have this great sports legend. Whatever. Just a quick icebreaker, but the conversation will not develop in that direction at all, right? It will have a very quick icebreaker, but let's talk business right away. And then you will know that the meeting went well if at the end of the meeting things get more relaxed and maybe you have an opportunity to talk a little more about business. So yeah, that's great. We agreed on the homework for the next meeting, when we're gonna meet, who's gonna do what, that's great. And then we look and see you still have 10 minutes. Yeah, so tell me about what else, and what about your family? And you see, there is this inverted timeline. And if you don't know that when you are originally from a different country, emerging country especially, and if you start a meeting with a Canadian and it's 5 minutes in, 10 minutes in, and you're still trying to build that trust relationship, talk about things that have nothing to do with the topic of the meeting, which is the business topic, people are going to start to get nervous. They're going to say, oh, come on. Yeah, let's talk about this. I have seen many people from other countries, like immigrants in Canada, that think that Canadians are rude. Oh yeah, they just went straight to talk to business, that there's no time to kind of develop a bit of a relationship. Canadians, on the other hand, will think that people that are not getting to the point, they're being rude because they're being disrespectful of my time. They're not respecting my availability. Listen, I have a busy day here. I have to go home. I have to do these things. I have a deadline. I have a meeting. And like, they booked a 30-minute meeting, and for 15 minutes, they are just wasting time and not talking about what we should be talking. So you see, that's what I talk about misalignment of obvious. What's obvious to one person, which is the right way to conduct a meeting and to build a relationship, it's different from what's obvious for the other person. Very important to align what's obvious. You need to kind of start to understand what's the other side's expectation and to adapt your approach so that everybody, like we say in Canada, is on the same page. In Canada, it's considered very important to integrate within the community. You need to show and to be perceived that you are adding value locally. So that idea of the deal making, let me just land here with a great sales office and a great product, low prices, and people are going to buy from me, then do a deal. That's a transactional type of interaction. It's not typically what Canadian business people are looking for. Canadian business people are typically looking for a relationship. And why? Because a deal can look perfect on paper, but anybody who has been in business long enough knows that the devil is in the details, and there are plenty of opportunities for things to go wrong, right? So you need to trust the other side, and you trust who seems to be integrated in your community better, right? So this culture of just let's get the deal done and let's make money and everybody's going to be happy works very well in many countries, including to our neighbors in the United States. In Canada, sometimes you will find people with that culture, and you will find many people that, yeah, people are not stupid, they want to make money, people are in business for profits, but people are reluctant to just chase the shiny little object. Oh yeah, sure, this is going to be a great deal. Well, but what if? Canadians think a lot about what can go wrong. And one way to show that you're adding value to the local community, I give you an example. It's like in Canada, the culture of volunteering is extremely strong. High school students, they have to graduate with a minimum number of hours of volunteer services that they provided within the community. So you see that idea of the community, let's add value, let's make sure we belong and we're adding stuff locally as opposed to doing a good deal that everybody's going to make a lot of money. It's very important within the Canadian culture. So that's a risk, okay? The third type of risk has to do with people management here and relationships. And that goes for internal relationships and external relationships with your clients, with your suppliers, or relationships with your employees. And very specifically, I want to mention one characteristic that is very common in emerging countries. Unfortunately, or for the good or for the better, it is very common in many countries where you have a lot of social and socio-economic disparities between different layers of the society, right? And people treat each other according to that. In Canada, it's a very flat society. So it's a mistake to try to conduct business in Canada in a way where, for example, if you're doing sales, you only want to talk to the big guy or the big girl, like whoever is the boss. Maybe they're not the decision maker. They're going to rely and delegate some specific parts of the decision to somebody who has the technical knowledge what's about to be bought. So don't fall for the illusion that the more powerful person is the better contact. And especially if you are dealing with people lower in the hierarchy on the other side of the institution, you better treat them well. You know, everybody is expecting a degree of respect and all that kind of stuff. And that same goes for employees. And how is the relationship with people that report to you, right? It's like if I'm from a certain culture and I'm used to deal with people that are from a lower hierarchy in a certain way, and I try to do it here, word gets in the street and suddenly you are a business that a lot of people do not want to deal with. So you have to be careful about this people management and relationship risk in what is a very flat society, which is Canada. Let's look at a second type of risk here, which is market and financial risks. I'm not going to talk about these big risks in financial markets. No, I'm going to talk when it comes to small businesses. So we need to start with the top line first. That seems obvious, but sometimes I'm baffled by how it's not. Sometimes, for example, for startups, people have a great idea and they say, hey, this is gonna, whoever comes on board is gonna make millions of dollars here, but where's the top line? Are their sales already recurring? Oh no, I need just these investments so I can turn that into sales. Well, start with a focus on the top line. So people will want to know, if you're not selling yet, people will want to know what's the plan to sell, what you're going to make sure that you're selling. And here's a tricky part. What are the investments that you're making in that direction? Because investments will have to come before profits, right? People are not going to say, yeah, give me money, give me financing, and then I'm going to create this thing that they're going to create the sales. So it's a bit of a chicken and an egg situation, but it does represent a significant risk. The focus has to be on the top line. And the more that you show that you already have clients, then it's easier to attract funding, incentives. If you're applying for grant programs, for example, oh, but that grant program is for a concept, I still don't have sales. That's okay, but you need to present a plan, right? Sales is just a materialized plan, but you need, if you still don't have a sales, you have to have a very well thought of and very detailed plan showing how you're going to get from A to B with which resources. It's not enough to say, yeah, if I have more money, then I'm going to invest more in marketing, then sales are going to come. Anybody can say that. right? If all this seems a little bit too complicated, don't worry. We're here to help and hold your hand in the process. We have our program here, Your Business in Canada, our platform where we help people like you, foreign-born business people, building their success in Canada. Okay, let's look at one more type of risk here, which are the compliance risks. So this is one thing that's very important. Again, for somebody who came from an emerging countries where you surround yourself with advisors who do the homework and present you with summaries of what you should be doing, or they take care of the process for you. Things are very different in Canada. In Canada, it's the land of the do-it-yourself. That's what I joke. To know if you're coming to a place with a similar culture or not, you need to know if in your country there is an IKEA. IKEA is the Swedish store where you buy furniture and you put the furniture together at home. Super common in Canada. Everybody understands the concept. Everybody in Canada has a garage full of tools that they're going to be doing work around the house. You will only call experts when you don't have that specific technical expertise. But in terms of rolling your sleeves and doing the work, that's what Canadians typically do. So coming back to our world of business, how that materializes is reading documents. You need to be used to read everything that people are sending you. The lawyer is going to send you a summary, read it. They're sending you a retainer agreement, read it. Terms and conditions are there. So you need to really develop that habit to read the documents. And if you did not understand something, do not just pick up the phone and call somebody. You can do that in the beginning just because it's easier, but make sure you then put things in writing. Put your understanding, whatever you understood that has to be done, should be in writing, and ask the other person to confirm to you that your understanding is correct, or to amend or to rectify something that is not right. But always confirm in writing. Put things in writing. What is that you understood about the situation? The other thing that's important here in terms of compliance risk is that the sequence of activities is very important. Don't fall for that trap that I know happens in many places, which is, well, we still don't have this thing, but let's get started with this other thing that's ready, and then things are going to run in parallel. If somebody told you that the steps have to be 1, 2, 3, 4, don't try to start with 3 while 2 and 1 are still being worked on. Everything's going to stop. It's going to be very frustrating. So I'm telling you some things that avoid frustration in these interactions in Canada. So the sequence of activities is important. And typically Canadians also have relatively inflexible timelines and steps. If people told you something is going to be 2 weeks, it's going to be 2 weeks. There's nothing, oh yeah, but you know, I need this quicker, I need this. It's very hard. There are reasons why people define certain timelines. That's for account to their workflows and to commitments they already made to other people. So work within the time frames, timelines, and steps that Canadians are giving you, okay? There are 2 more videos here that will be helpful in this topic. Good luck.